You know, when we think about how our body works, we usually picture this world of chemicals, right? Proteins and enzymes all just bouncing around. But what if there's a whole other layer to it? A hidden network that communicates at the speed of light, organizing everything from how we heal to how we grow. Well, today, we're diving into the body electric.
We all kind of learn this mind-blowing fact in school. Our bodies are this massive community of trillions and trillions of individual cells, and every single one is its own tiny, complex biological machine. So, how do they all work together?
Well, the conventional view is that these cells are all just floating around in a chemical soup, basically relying on molecules to randomly bump into each other to get anything done. And look, this biochemical model has been the foundation of modern medicine, but it might be missing a huge piece of the puzzle.
But what if that soup isn't chaotic at all? What if, instead, it's a highly organized, super fast, and deeply interconnected electrical network?
Okay, so to get our heads around this, let's start with something you're probably already familiar with. The whole idea of electricity in the body isn't science fiction. Actually, it's the basis for some of our most important medical tools.
I mean, for over 100 years, we've been using tools like the ECG to measure the heart's rhythm and the EEG to read brainwaves. These machines work because they're picking up the electrical fields our organs produce. But it turns out these signals that we know so well, they're really just the tip of the iceberg.
All right, so if we're going to understand this deeper bioelectric system, we need to break it down. Think of it like a simple electronic circuit. You really just need three things. You need wires to carry the current, you need switches to control it, and you need a power source. And as it turns out, our bodies have all three.
First up, every circuit needs wiring. In our biology, these are the conductors, materials that let electrical information travel super easily from one place to another.
So, what are the wires in our body? Well, it's not copper, that's for sure. It's an amazing combination of collagen and water. Collagen is the most abundant protein we have, and it forms this fibrous network all through us. When that network gets hydrated, it creates a highly conductive superhighway that lets bioelectric signals travel almost instantly throughout our connective tissues.
And get this network is seriously charged. We're talking an electrical potential of up to negative 120 millivolts. So this isn't some weak passive system. It's an active and really powerful communication grid that's running through our entire body. Okay, so we've got the wires, but any good circuit needs switches. These are the semiconductors. They're the things that can control the flow of electricity, turning signals on and off, which is, absolutely essential for processing information. And this is where it gets really wild. What are these biological switches made of? We're not talking about silicon here. We're talking about the very building blocks of our bodies. The DNA in our cells, the proteins that make our muscles contract, even the keratin in our hair. All of these things have semiconductor properties, which lets them process information. All right, wires, check. Switches, check. But where does the power come from? The final piece of our circuit is the generator. Our body is just packed with tissues that can create their own electricity from simple things like pressure or movement.
The best example of this by far is in our bones. It's something called the piezoelectric effect. So anytime you put stress on a bone, by running or jumping or lifting weights, the collagen inside it actually generates a tiny electrical field. And that electrical signal is basically a message that tells your body, hey, reinforce this area. This is exactly why weight-bearing exercise is so crucial for bone density. Your skeleton is literally generating the electrical instructions for its own repair and growth. How cool is that?
So, let's pull back for a second. We have all the components of a circuit: conductors, semiconductors, and generators. But what happens when you put them all together? You don't just get random electrical noise. No, you get these powerful organizing fields that can actively shape our biology. And here's the really important part. These electrical fields aren't just byproducts of activity. They are the blueprint. Scientists call them morphogenetic fields, which is just a fancy way of saying they carry the instructions for shape and form. These are the fields that guide cells to the right spot to heal a cut, and they're what tells an embryo how to build a heart and a brain and everything else.
And this organizing principle is so fundamental that even our circulatory system acts as part of this massive circuit. The network of our blood vessels has incredibly low electrical resistance, which means it's an extremely efficient conductor. This allows it to create these electrical gradients that help organize cells and shuttle information all over the body.
This all brings up a really fascinating question. If the body has this high-speed information network, what language is it speaking? And how does a message get from your brain all the way down to your big toe without getting lost along the way?
Well, information could travel as simple vibrations, or phonons. But think of those like ripples in a pond. They start out strong, but they fade out really fast. The body needs a better messenger. And the secret seems to be a special kind of wave called a soliton. Imagine a tidal bore, that single powerful wave that can travel for miles up a river without losing its shape or its energy. That's a soliton. It is the perfect way to send a crystal clear message over long distances inside the body. Okay, let's really dig into what's happening on this slide because it's awesome. It all starts with ATP. That's the energy currency of our cells. When a cell needs to do something, it breaks down an ATP molecule, and that releases this little burst of energy. Now, normally, that energy would just dissipate as heat, but this model suggests something incredible happens instead. That burst of energy gets trapped within the structure of a long protein chain. It then travels down that protein not as a fading ripple, but as a stable, focused solitonic wave, delivering a perfect packet of energy and information exactly where it needs to go, with zero loss.
So, how do we wrap all of this up? The conductors, the organizing fields, those amazing soliton waves? Well, it requires a whole new blueprint for the body. Researchers have proposed this unifying model called the Biofield-Tissue Tensegrity Matrix. I know, it's a mouthful, so let's break that down.
The really key concept here is tensegrity. It's an architectural principle where a structure holds its shape not by stacking heavy solid blocks, but by balancing forces across a continuous network of tension. Think of a spider web or a suspension bridge. These structures are incredibly strong, but they're also flexible and really responsive.
And this idea that our body is built this way, it's not actually new. As early as 1991, researchers were proposing that this kind of structure allows for the harmonic transfer of information all throughout our tissues. Just think about that, a web of tension that connects every single part of your body to every other part.
So this brings us to the full model. The body as a single unified tensegrity network that's just vibrating with information. This living matrix connects all the pieces we talked about, the conductors, the semiconductors, the generators, and it uses those soliton waves to transmit signals instantly and perfectly. It creates a complete framework for the body to regulate, repair, and heal itself. It's this dynamic interface between our inner biology and the world all around us.
So all of this, it really opens up a profound question, doesn't it? If our bodies are fundamentally electrical and vibrational, could we be on the verge of a totally new kind of medicine? One that focuses less on blocking chemical reactions and more on tuning the frequencies, the resonance, and the information that organizes life itself. It's a fascinating frontier to think about.